The hidden loneliness in relationships. You ever been the last one at a house party, holding a warm beer, surrounded by empty pizza boxes, and suddenly realizing everyone else already left with someone? That awkward, lonely moment. That's the exact feeling most men quietly live with in their relationships. Abandoned, even while she's sitting right there beside them. And here's the hard truth. Most men don't even realize it's happening. They call it love. They call it commitment. But what it really is slow suffocation. I've watched this pattern repeat itself in countless relationships. A man starts out strong, confident, sure of himself. He's his own person. He laughs freely, spends time with friends, makes decisions without hesitation. 6 months later, he's asking for permission just to see the same friends. A year in, he's apologizing for trivial things like breathing too loud or not answering a text within 2 minutes. 2 years in, he doesn't even remember the version of himself that existed before her. And this is where the tragedy begins. He truly believes this is normal. He believes this is love. He believes relationships are supposed to be about compromise, endless sacrifice, and shrinking yourself smaller and smaller until you fit inside the box she built for you. But let me tell you what's really going on. Every time she tests you and you fold, every time she pushes and you bend, every time she threatens and you beg, you are not saving your relationship. You are destroying it. Slowly but surely, you are murdering her attraction. Why? Because deep inside, beyond all the modern ideologies, beyond the advice columns and the self-help books, her biology needs something. She needs a man who is stronger than her, not physically, but emotionally, spiritually, psychologically. When you fail that test, even in small ways, her love doesn't just fade. A piece of it dies forever. And you can see it when it happens. You can see it in how she walks, how she speaks, and especially in how she looks at you. Or worse, how she looks through you, like you're not even there anymore. Like you're just part of the furniture that occasionally spits out money and validation. This is what I call the crown effect. The more she tests and wins, the larger her invisible crown grows. And as her crown grows, you shrink. You're no longer her partner. You're her servant, trapped in her kingdom. And the cruelest part, she doesn't respect you for it. In fact, she starts to despise you. There's something called the test paradox. Women test men to see if they're strong. But ironically, the very act of testing weakens most men over time. Like erosion wearing down a mountain, every failed test takes a piece of your backbone until nothing's left but a hollow shell. A man who says, "Yes, dear," to everything. And here's the twist. She hates you for it. She hates the weak man you've become, even though she's the one who created him through those very tests. Most men don't realize this. They think, well, all relationships must be like this. Every guy is going through the same thing. Wrong. Some men figured it out. Some men cracked the code. They learned the words, the verbal tools that stop this cycle cold. Words that instantly flip the power dynamic. And that's exactly what I'm going to share with you. Not tricks, not games, but truths. Hard truths. Words so sharp, they cut straight through the crown she wears. Words that women secretly fear, but desperately need to hear. In the next part, we'll begin with the very first phrase, the one that shakes her ego to its core. It's simple, it's calm, but it works every single time. The first word that breaks the crown. So let's talk about the first phrase, The one that slices through her ego like nothing else. And it's not angry. It's not loud. In fact, it's calm, almost casual. You look at her and simply say, "You're ordinary." Now, I know what you're thinking. That's it? That's the big secret. But hear me out. Every woman walks through life believing she is the exception. She's not like other girls. She's unique, different, special. That belief is her crown. It's the identity she wears to feel superior. And when you calmly strip that away, her entire world shakes. You don't shout it. You don't spit it out in anger. You say it like you're stating the weather, matter of fact. When we first met, I thought you were different. But you're not. You're just like every other woman I've known. Same insecurities, same drama, same games, completely predictable. Do you understand why this devastates her? Because you've just broken the core illusion she's built her entire self-image on. For the first time, she's not the main character in the story. She's just an extra playing a recycled role. I once witnessed a couple arguing outside a restaurant. She was yelling at him, going on about how he didn't appreciate her uniqueness, how he didn't see how special she was. And the guy, calm as still water, looked at her and said, "Special? You're doing exactly what my ex did, word for word. It's like you all have the same playbook." She froze, not quiet, silent, her brain short-circuited. Because for the first time, someone showed her she wasn't the exception. She wasn't unique. She was ordinary. Now here's the key. This isn't about cruelty. You're not saying it to destroy her confidence or to tear her down for fun. You're saying it as truth. Because the truth is, she is ordinary. Billions of women exist. They all think they're special. They all think they're different. But in reality, the patterns repeat themselves. And when you tell her this, she has only two choices. One, she can resist, deny, and spiral into rage. Two, or she can finally confront the truth and realize that if she wants to keep you, she'll have to be different, not just claim it. Here's the beautiful part. When you drop this truth calmly, you expose her ego. You break her illusion. And suddenly, she feels small. Not because you attacked her, but because you reminded her of reality. You see, women don't crumble from insults. They brush those off. But when you hold up a mirror and show them the truth, that's what cuts deep. That's what sticks. The phrase, "you're ordinary," is the first weapon. And once you've used it, the ground beneath her crown starts to shake. But we're only getting started, because the second phrase doesn't just shake her confidence, it collapses her entire strategy. In the next part, I'll reveal the second weapon, the one that completely destroys her ability to manipulate you with threats. It's simple, it's elegant, and it changes the game forever. The power of indifference. If the first phrase shatters her illusion of being unique, the second phrase destroys her favorite weapon, threats. You see, most women rely on one core assumption in relationships, that you're terrified of losing them. Every argument, every manipulation, every test is built on this foundation. If I push hard enough, he'll chase me. If I threaten to leave, he'll beg me. If I pull away, he'll crumble. But the moment you stop fearing loss, her entire strategy falls apart. So here's the weapon, showing absolute indifference to her leaving. When she threatens to walk out, you don't panic. You don't beg. You simply hold the door open. When she says she needs space, you don't argue. You tell her, "Take all the time you need. I've got plans anyway. When she casually mentions her ex is texting her, you don't explode with jealousy. You shrug and say, "That's nice. Maybe you two should reconnect." Can you see what just happened? She thought she was holding a loaded gun pointed at you. But when you don't flinch, when you show her that her leaving means nothing to you, she suddenly realizes the gun isn't even real. I knew a guy who went through this exact scenario. His girlfriend pulled the classic line, "I think we should see other people." Now, usually this is bait. She expects the man to fight for her, to prove his commitment, to beg her to stay. But this guy smiled and said, "That's a brilliant idea. Honestly, there's someone I've been meaning to ask out." Thanks for making this easier. The look on her face, priceless. She stammered, backpedaled, tried to take it back, because in her mind, she was just testing him. She didn't want him to actually agree. She wanted to feel powerful. But in that moment, her entire game collapsed. Here's why this works. Her power doesn't come from leaving. It comes from you fearing her leaving. Once you remove that fear, she has nothing left. You've just flipped the dynamic entirely. Now, a lot of men misunderstand this. They think indifference means being cold, cruel, or disrespectful. It doesn't. True indifference is calm. It's relaxed. It's not emotional withdrawal. It's emotional freedom. It's the ability to walk away at any moment because you don't need her. That's the key. When you genuinely don't need her validation, her presence, or her approval to feel complete, you become untouchable because everyone else she's ever been with did need those things. You're the first one who doesn't. And that's what makes you irreplaceable. Not clinging tighter, not begging harder, not chasing faster, but being willing to let go at any moment without fear. The first phrase cracks her ego. The second collapses her control. But there's still one weapon left in her arsenal. The one she believes makes her truly irreplaceable. Her sexuality. In the next part, I'll show you how to dismantle that illusion too. And when you do, the crown doesn't just slip, it falls off completely. The final illusion, her sexual power. We've broken two of her strongest illusions. One, that she's special. Two, that you fear losing her. But there's still one card she clings to. One weapon she thinks no man can resist. Her sexuality. From the beginning of history, women have been taught, directly or indirectly, that their ultimate power over men lies between their legs. It's the secret bargaining chip, the unspoken contract. As long as I can tempt him, I can control him. And for most men, it works. That's why women use withdrawal of intimacy as punishment, or seduction as manipulation, because they believe a man cannot think clearly once desire takes over. But here's the truth. That power only works on men who are slaves to their urges. The moment you break free from that, the spell shatters. Imagine this. She pulls the classic move, rolling her eyes, withholding affection, retreating into cold silence, thinking you'll crawl back, desperate for her touch. Instead, you don't even flinch. You carry on with your life, your plans, your focus. You show her, without words, that intimacy with her is a bonus, not a necessity. The effect is devastating. Why? Because for the first time, she realizes her body doesn't control you. You've placed yourself above the need for her validation and above the trap of her sexuality. I'll give you a real example. A man I know had a girlfriend who tried to play the withhold intimacy game after every argument. She thought she was teaching him a lesson, but instead of begging, apologizing, or buying her gifts, he simply shrugged and invested his time into his work, the gym, and hanging out with friends. After a week, she broke. She came crawling back, practically begging to reconnect, because the power dynamic flipped. He wasn't the one starving. She was. Here's why this hits harder than anything else. When you show her that her beauty and her body do not dictate your decisions, she loses the last crown jewel of her control. Every man before you probably bent at that point. You didn't. That makes you rare. That makes you dangerous. That makes you unforgettable. This doesn't mean you reject intimacy. It means you refuse to let it be her weapon. You treat it like what it truly is, a natural part of connection, not a tool for leverage. And once she understands that her body isn't currency with you, the game changes forever. So now, let's look at where we are. Phrase 1 stripped away her illusion of being unique. Phrase 2 destroyed her power to threaten leaving. Phrase 3 dismantled her ability to control you with sex. 3 simple truths. 3 cuts to the crown. But there's still one final piece to this puzzle. The last phrase, the knockout blow, that doesn't just remove her crown, but makes her see you in a way no man has ever forced her to before. And once you say it, she'll never forget you. Whether she loves you, hates you, or fears you, it won't matter. You'll live rent-free in her mind forever. That's what we'll uncover in the final part. The knockout blow. We've gone through 3 phrases that shake her ego, collapse her threats, and dismantle her control. But there's one last phrase, the final strike, that doesn't just weaken her crown, it shatters it. This phrase is powerful because it cuts deeper than her ego, deeper than her threats, deeper than her sexuality. It hits at the core fear every woman hides, that she isn't truly loved for who she is, but only desired for what she offers. The phrase is simple. You look her in the eye and say, I don't need you, I choose you. Why does this wreck her? Let's break it down. Every woman wants to feel chosen, but she also wants to feel needed. She wants to believe that without her, you're incomplete, broken, or lost. That's how she secures her power. If you need her, she controls you. But when you calmly tell her you don't need her, that your life is full, your world is complete, your happiness doesn't depend on her existence, yet you still choose her, that's devastating. Because in that moment, she realizes she has no chains on you. You're there not because you're trapped, but because you want to be. And that makes you more powerful than every man who came before you. I once heard a man tell his girlfriend this exact phrase during an argument. She was crying, accusing him of not loving her enough, trying to guilt him into proving his devotion. He looked at her, calm and steady, and said, I don't need you to survive. I don't need you to succeed. I don't need you to feel whole. But every single day, I wake up and still choose you. That's love, not need. Choice. She broke down completely, not out of anger, but out of realization, because no one had ever said that to her before. No one had ever flipped the script like that. Here's why this works as the knockout blow. If you needed her, she could dangle that need over your head. But when you choose her freely, without attachment, she knows you can walk away at any time and still be fine. That freedom terrifies her, but it also forces her respect. This is the truth most men never reach. Women don't crave weak men who cling. They crave strong men who don't need them, but still decide to keep them. Because that choice is rare, and it makes them feel both exposed and valued in a way no manipulation can create. So let's review the crown breakers. 1. You're ordinary. Shatters her illusion of being special. 2. Indifference to loss. Destroys her power to control you with threats. 3. Detachment from her body. Dismantles her sexual weapon. 4. I don't need you, I choose you. The knockout blow. 4 truths. 4 weapons. 4 cuts to the crown. And when you master these, you become untouchable. Not because you're cruel, not because you play games, but because you live in truth, not illusion. Remember this: women don't fear insults, rejection, or even heartbreak. What they fear most is the man who sees through their illusions and still remains unshaken. That's the man they can't forget. That's the man they can't control. That's the man who breaks the crown.